Welcome back, highlighters. And if you're new here, hi, my name is Hallie, also known as a highlighted pinup. And what I do is go over random hair stuff that you guys have questions about. In this new installment on this page, I'm going to start doing some tutorials. So this is the first one up, and this is how I set my hair. A quick little rundown of what I'll be using. I'll need a wide tooth comb, and then into a rat tail. I'm going to have some end papers just because they were requested. I don't normally set my hair with them, but I'm going to use them to show you. This is the Altarina Caviar Styler Oribe Power Booster Drops for damaged hair. This is in a foundation mist bottle, but this is actually just Lotta Body and water in case I need to re-wet. And then I will be using some duckbill clips for my sections, and I'll show you guys when that is. Bum, bum. And then I have two types of rollers that I use. I use the grippy ones. They are not Velcro. They have little teeth on them. And hair. So they look like that. And then foam or sponge rollers, depending on how and what you want to call them. So that's kind of the breakdown of what I'll be needing and what we're going to be using. So let's get started. So first, I'm going to prep my hair. I'm going to use the Power Drops from Oribe. This is going to act as like a leave-in conditioner. So this is what I use instead of something heavy. I'm primarily just going to focus this more so on my front where my blue is, just because these are meant for repair. So I just kind of zhuzh it up into there, not super aggressive, just more like that, shaking it up, working it all the way through. From there, I'll take my wide tooth comb, just kind of make sure everything's brushed through. Freshly clean hair, good stuff. And then I'm going to take the Luxe Shaper. This is a gel. And the reason why I started using this is, one, I wanted to try out the brand, and two, I like gels with setting. So I'm always looking for one that's really soft. I've been using this one a couple times. I like it, and I like the kind of poof it gives me. So I'm gonna use about that much. That looks gross, but we're gonna move past that. Gonna emulsify it. And when I start on this, I'm gonna start more onto my ends because that's where I want them to have the most grip. And then emulsify again just to smear the product around, pull it in through my roots, and then start just kind of working it in all the way through. I like a decent amount of product. If you guys have heard me talk about it, I don't mind some weight to mine. And even though I have really, really fine hair, I'm not scared of gels or things like that or anything that's going to make my set last as long as possible, because I try to wear them for at least 5 days. And then from here, I'm going to section it off. Normally, I wouldn't be this low out of frame, but for the sake of you guys being able to see the full extent and length of my hair, we're gonna be like this for a minute. So, do I normally section my hair? Oh, hard no. I rarely ever section my hair to do any of my styles. But the reason why I'm starting with it is because in order to break rules, you need to know what they are first. So I've sectioned my hair in pretty neat sections all the way through the back, so you guys can kind of see. Why did I choose to do this? So again, so you can see where my partings are, why I'm parting like that, and we can move from there. So we're gonna start with the front and these guys. So because setting up and sectioning my hair took longer than what I anticipated, my hair's already starting to dry. That's pretty normal. Don't worry about that. That's why we have some foundation stuff, so that way you can re-wet it. So I'm gonna start with this front section right here. Bear with me too, because I can't set my hair and wear my glasses, and it's pretty hard for me to see right now. So again, not taking from everywhere. This is my front section, my bang area, and this is what I'm going to roll forward. So I'm just gonna remist it because it's just a little too dry for my liking. You don't want your hair sopping wet. That's not the objective with this. It's just some dampness, so it's fairly easy to roll. And I just kind of combing through it. So then I'm going to move that clip out of my way. I'm gonna take my sections. This is about an inch deep, I'm going to over direct it just a tad. Going to wrap that around just a little bit, that little tail, pulling just a little, giving some tension, and then I'm going to walk it down. And then I'm gonna start to kind of rock it back and forth so that way it stays in place. Because these have the grippies, I don't need to clip them or anything. Again, the reason I use these up front is because they're not as structured. And so I don't like my bang areas super curled. I like it so I have that kind of poof. I have some rogue hair somewhere in my face. Okay. And my hands get super blue when my hair is fresh, so it's fine. I'll get rid of that later. So, oh my gosh. I don't normally need to CC, but it's so weird when I'm doing a demo. So what I'm doing is I'm laying it over, pulling so everything's nice and smooth in it, applying some tension, and then that's where it's gonna kind of get stuck. And then I'm gonna walk it down. So if you notice, my sections are not wider than my roller. That's a big mistake that people make. And if I wanted to readjust it, I would just unwrap it. So if you guys are scared of using these, they're definitely a learning curve. It took me a second to not freak out or panic because I thought they were stuck. So just kind of work with them a little bit. And if they're not for you, they're totally not for you, and you can just use the sponge rollers. So now I'm gonna go into this section, make sure everything's out of my way. Again, because I like height up and through here, I'm going to use this one. Going to take my section, I'm gonna go this way. Walk it out, spray just a little bit. I'm going to pinch this a little bit because I know it's a little wide, but I know I want it all in one roller. Pull some tension on it. This little guy. And then there it is. Now I'm going to swap into the sponge rollers. So for the front, like I said, I don't normally use end papers, but it was requested, so we're gonna do it. So what are end papers? It's those little pieces of tissue paper we put at the ends. They're primarily used in perms, but they can be used in sets. And what they do is they keep kind of your ends together. So that way you don't get any fish hooks or any weird random things. Now normally the preferred technique would be a double flat wrap, but I already graduated beauty school, so I'm gonna bookend it. And I'm just gonna place it in the hair. This is 100% more difficult to do. I practiced on a mannequin not too long ago and I was like, oh yeah, I still got it. And then I tried to do it on myself and I'm like, ha ha ha. You think you know, you don't. And what you're gonna do is just kind of sandwich it on the hair. Come on. All right, there we go. And pull it up. So the trick here is to have your end paper just a little bit longer than the tip of your hair. I got this a little bit wet. So as you can see, there's my hair, there's the end paper. Then I'm going to use my roller and I'm going to wrap from the bottom. And the trick with the sponge rollers is you want to be really, really gentle when you start rolling them. If you use too much tension, the curl will get super tight on the bottom and it'll do some weird funky things. So just really soft. That's how you do it with the flat paper. We'll do it again. I'm getting it just a little bit more damp, just all the way through for some more control. Take my section. Take my end paper, If I can see, I can't. Yeah, I don't see distance very well, so. And then I'm gonna pull it up. Gonna get it past the ends of the hair. Sandwich them all in. Going to get a little bit more damp. That seemed a lot of damp. That's cool. We're fine. We're moving. Going to roll it all the way down, really gently. Notice there were some fuzzy pieces right around here. Those are breakage around my hairline from me being a little overzealous with my bleach. Yes, I do it to myself. But that's what that is. And as I got down, I just kind of re-wrapped them in there. I ended up dropping my little thingamabobber, so I just was like fiddling with that until I got it back on. But you can see that the rollers aren't super crazy tight on the head. I'm focused primarily on the ends, getting that control, but they're secure. They're not going anywhere. And I'm going to do one more with an end paper before I say, forget that, I've been traumatized enough, moving forward. Actually, it was funny because I picked these up because I wanted to practice more with end papers because I haven't done them in so long. And then now I'm on camera and I'm like, well, probably should have tried a little bit more before I decided to video myself doing it. But meh, c'est la vie. So I can see there's some pieces. So once I get down farther where they are, that's where I'm going to take them and I'm going to start wrapping them in. And then I'm just going to wrap them into the whole thing. I'm not super meticulous about this or like, oh my gosh, every hair needs to be in there or things like that. One of the reasons why is because this isn't a perm. This isn't a chemical service. So I don't have to worry about like the integrity of my hair completely. If something kind of gets a little frayed, it'll probably just blend right in. As long as I'm not missing like substantial pieces, everything's going to blend and be fine. So one of the biggest things I've always learned and something that I'm a big advocate about is no set without a purpose. What that means is don't put rollers in your hair just for the sake of doing it. Make sure that when you use them or when you place them, you have a method to your madness. There are plenty of set patterns online that you can find that are absolutely wonderful. This is kind of a hybrid, and the reason why I use this, like this kind of one that I don't know if I've completely made it up. I'm sure there's one similar, but I like this side. This is what I would consider my weak side. It's got the less hair on it to go behind my ear. So I actually wrap these a little bit wonky, almost at a diagonal, because I don't want a lot of volume in through here. Actually, I don't like it. So I set it a little bit further back. They're going to be rolled forward, but slightly down. And so that way, when it does fall, it all comes behind my ear. Now, if you actually know how to wrap, you know that what I'm doing here is not the proper way to do it, but it's some of the easiest ways to do it with a sponge roller. So technically speaking, you're supposed to take it to the very, very end and start your wrap and bringing it down, which I can do. No, I can't. But it's a much bigger obstacle. So again, what I do is I take about, I'd say maybe an inch and wrap it slightly. And then that gives me my anchor and I roll it down. The reason you're not supposed to do that is you can get fish hooks or those weird little wonky ends. So if you're if you're someone who's struggling with that, yeah, go ahead and make sure that you're walking it all the way, or you're starting all the way down and walking it out. I don't have those problems. That's also, again, being soft, being gentle when I'm rolling these. The whole goal is not to cause a ton of tension or anything like that. So I pull it out. I wrap slightly. And I'm moving too as I'm wrapping to just kind of be like, okay, soft, soft. And then I bring it down. As far as where the clips go, as like if they snap forward or back, Again, this isn't a perm. That doesn't matter. So they're wherever I pick up the roller and where it fits. Now we're going to move on to the back. So this is where I shine because I normally can't see anyways. So I start at the top. It's easiest so that way the hair is already out of your way as you're starting to work. And there you guys have it. So you see everything is in pretty clean sections. It's all nice and wrapped up. Nothing has too much tension on it. Sheena's not impressed. She's so sick of me doing this. And everything feels really secure. So again, there's a little wiggle and stuff. I'm not super like, oh, it's got to be really tight to the scalp. I don't want to curl right up on the scalp. I want it more to give some body, to give some movement, and then for me to be able to wear the ends for a while. And then I'm going to take my little cap that makes me look like Toad from Mario, and I'm just going to fit it around. And I do this so that way I don't have to worry about it. And I can sleep in it a lot better. I use a cap versus a net because security. I sleep really, really rough, like all over the place. And this keeps everything intact and it allows it to be comfortable for me. So that seems to be the only other obstacle people have is just getting used to sleeping in them. It's actually really easy. Again, just key points, soft hands, try to wrap things in a neat fashion. If you don't get every single strand of hair, like in every single specific spot, it's okay. It'll usually brush out just fine. And you want your hair to be damp, but not sopping wet. So that way it can dry. That's a big one. It has to be able to dry. And that way it can set. So that's the wrap up on this side. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to do the brush out tomorrow when they're dry, and I'm going to break this series into 2 parts.